Hi, and welcome back to the Range of Motion Department. In this edition of our injury prevention series, we'll be discussing an area of the body that absorbs quite a deal of stress throughout the day. From the typical stresses of walking and standing to the increased loads of exercising and sports. The hip and the muscles originating from it are highly susceptible to overuse and injury as activity level increases. To add to this, imbalances in strength and flexibility in the muscles surrounding this structure can produce harmful stress in other areas of the body, including the lower back and legs. To help us learn more about these issues and how to prevent them, we welcome physical therapist JT Zigathy. Hey, how's it going, JT?
Hey Damon, how are you doing?
Good to see you again.
Hey, good to see you.
What's going on here?
Well, Angela came in to me saying that she strained her hamstring the other day working out, and we found out through her evaluations that she has a little motor planning issue going on.
Okay.
Which motor planning is the way your muscles are supposed to work and firing at the proper time.
Okay.
We found out that her hamstrings are overactive, which could be because of her tight hip flexors, which can lead to inhibition of her glute min and max, which are primary hip extensors. And when those are inhibited, your hamstrings take over, which of course a lot of people don't realize that the hamstrings actually cross two joints. Not only do they flex the knee, they extend the hip. So this is a technique which takes the hamstrings out of the equation to help isolate out the glutes, to help reprogram her, to make her function a little more.
Okay, so with now, if an individual does not have that strength in the glutes, what injuries can typically come about from it?
Well, if you don't have your glutes, not only can it lead to an anterior pelvic tilt, which can cause increased stress on your spine, increased stress on your hamstrings because they're going to be more active to help support your pelvis.
Okay.
It can also lead to increased hip flexor tightness,
Okay.
and it can also even lead to weak abdominals because they're constantly on stretch.
I see. And that was that crossed T syndrome?
Cross X by
Cross X.
Yonda.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, which
Fantastic.
Yeah, and with that, what it is it's an X of weak muscles, or inhibited muscles, which are weak muscles usually, and then tight muscles. And usually people's low back muscles, their erector spinae are tight, along with their hip flexors, so there's one X. And then the other X would be the weak glutes and weak abdominals.
So you're saying that some people who may have that lower back stiffness and pain like that, it may be caused from these imbalances you're talking about?
It is one of many causes, but that is one of them, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Wow, great. So you're showing her one exercise here. I can see that. I know some people have had issues with IT band problems also.
Correct.
So could you show us some exercises to really prevent, I know you got one going on right here, but to prevent some of these hip flexor, or I should say hip issues?
Well, you mentioned the IT band. One
Yes.
thing you can do for that is you can have a therapist or a doctor figure out if there is some kind of tightness going on in there, and you can either do a trigger point release, which would be done manually by your physical therapist, or you can do a foam roller, which I know you do with your trainers already.
So what can we do today?
Well, today we can do this. I can also show you how I can help to diagnosis, which if you wanted to roll over real quick, Angela. Good. And bend that knee up for me. Lay flat on your stomach. And now try to raise your hip. And if you see, the proper motor firing should be her contralateral erector spinae, followed by the ipsilateral glute, then the hamstring. And in most people, the hamstring goes first because it's very common for people to have this kind of motor planning issue.
Okay, great. Well, I think we have a better idea of where these injuries can definitely come from. Let's do some exercises here to really kind of condition these areas. So let's get right to it.
All right. So what we're doing here is we're doing something called a side bridge. The side bridge helps to strengthen her obliques as well as her hips, because an article by Sherry et al. Found that core strengthening is more effective than any kind of isolated hip extension or flexion, abduction, adduction motion can be. And there's different variations you can do off of this, but one thing that's important to do is when you're doing the motion, is come up and hold it actually. You want to keep your arms straight down your side, keep your hips and shoulder in line to help make sure you keep that neutral pelvis.
Okay, so what I'm going to be doing with Angela is going to be showing a little bit of variations of what JT showed. These exercises right here are going to stress out the same area. What's important though is that you have the strength to do this. So always start off with the easier techniques, master them, master your position, okay, get the endurance in them. And as you master them, then we can start to progress you to these more energy expensive motions, okay? So Angela, if you want to get in position again, now last time JT had the leg bent back, we had the leg out in front like so, okay? So for this position, okay, hips forward, squeeze your butt cheeks, just like that. Okay, we have in the same position right here. Now, from this position, we can go up and down, just like so. Same amount of stress. What we're going to do right now is we're going to actually have Angela raise up her leg. And now she can tell that there's more stress on the hip, just like so. Good. Keep your hips forward, arms straight, please. Good. Shoulder blades stay back. The body more wants to get out of this position if you notice. Gonna have to do a couple more. Okay, good job, Angela. Very good.
Alright, so the next exercise we're going to do is something to help strengthen not only her abductors, but also her external rotators. Now the external rotators of the hip are very important to strengthen because if you have weak external rotators, it causes an increase in internal rotation, which can lead to your knees going over your toes, causing your kneecap or your patella to track laterally, which can cause pain and something called chondromalacia, which you don't want to have happen. So what she's going to do here, she's going to step out to the side, keeping her knee over her toe like that. She should feel upper leg and in her glutes. And keep walking, and this is called the monster walk. Good. So now, just like with the side lying bridge, there's all kinds of variations you can do on all these exercises. This one would help to isolate out more just the abduction, which is more of an isolated exercise, which is a good thing for starting. The other one was a little more of an integrated exercise. So now you're just going to step out to the side and go. Good. Try to keep your shoulders straight when you're doing this because you don't want to do any leaning. You want to keep everything straight and in line just like you were before.